It's time for the news.
In today's top stories here in Algiers, the commander of the U.S. Military Command for Africa, AFRICOM, Army General Michael Langley, has said that the United States and Algeria will prosper together and continue to work for peace and protection of peoples. On Wednesday, the Paris Public Prosecutor's Office issued a strong reaction to French Interior Minister Bruno Retailleau's announcement that an Algerian influencer had been arrested. The A3+ group, including Algeria, has expressed support for the government and the people of Colombia in implementing the 2016 peace agreement. Hello and welcome to Radio Algeria International. I'm Jamal Samani. The commander of the U.S. Military Command for Africa, AFRICOM, Army General Michael Langley, has said that the United States of America and Algeria will prosper together and continue to work for peace and protection of peoples. During his meeting with the President of the Republic, Abdelmadjid Tebboune, along with the delegation accompanying him, Mr. Langley said that he was honored to meet with the President, with whom he discussed military affairs and security cooperation between Algeria and the U.S. The AFRICOM commander praised the deep and historical ties between Algeria and the U.S., saying that they are based on mutual respect. Meanwhile, Commander Michael Langley was also received by the Minister Delegate to the Minister of National Defense, Chief of Staff of the National People's Army, Army General Said Shingriha, at the headquarters of the AMP General Staff. Mr. Shingriha made a speech in which he highlighted that the partnership between the two countries is currently evolving positively, particularly in areas such as defense and security, adding that the progress reflects a shared commitment to reinforcing the partnership through realistic and objective-based collaboration.
تشهد حاليا الشراكة بين البلدين.
The partnership between the two countries is currently witnessing a positive dynamic in various fields, including defense and security. This dynamic reflects our desire to raise this partnership to the highest levels in a way that serves the interest of both countries. From this perspective, we praise what distinguishes the Algerian-American military cooperation, which is based on rationality, pragmatism, and consecutive goal-oriented dialogue aimed at establishing a lasting partnership.
Recalling the Memorandum of Understanding on Military Matters, Mr. Shingriha has stated that this memorandum sets all the common security objectives built by both countries over the years. Now, Prime Minister Nadir Al-Arbawi has received in Algiers the visiting Minister of Culture of the Italian Republic, Alessandro Gioli. The meeting, which took place in the presence of the Minister of Culture, Zuhair Bilalou, was an opportunity to praise the level of friendship and cooperation between Algeria and Italy and the remarkable dynamics of the bilateral partnership in all areas in light of the conclusions from the important discussions between President Abdelmadjid Tebboune and Italian leaders on various occasions. The two parties also discussed the various cooperation opportunities in the cultural field, given the rich civilizational, historical and cultural heritage shared by Algeria and Italy. The head of the Slovenia-Algeria Parliamentary Friendship Group, Miroslav Grigoric, has been received by both the Speaker of the National People's Assembly, Mr. Brahim Boughali, and the Secretary-General of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Lounas Megraman. The meetings focused on strengthening cooperation in various sectors, including economy, technology, and legal reforms. The details with Masoud Sharif.
The Speaker of the National People's Assembly, Brahim Boughali, has received a parliamentary delegation from Slovenia led by the chairman of the Slovenia-Algeria Parliamentary Friendship Group, Miroslav Grigoric, according to a statement from the lower house of parliament. During the meeting, Brahim Boughali expressed hope that the visit would contribute to strengthening bilateral cooperation in various areas, notably the parliamentary and economic fields. The two parties discussed ways to mutually benefit from parliamentary experience in drafting legal texts and strengthening cooperation in the fields of higher education, advanced technologies, energy, and economy. They stressed the need to intensify exchanges and collaboration between economic operators from both countries. particularly in the light of President Abdelmajid Tebboun's commitment to intensify efforts to diversify sources of wealth and reduce dependence on oil. Mr. Grigorik talked about the existing bilateral cooperation in various fields, expressing hope to see this cooperation extend to other ones.
It's part of the parliamentary diplomacy, and it's part of the efforts to strengthen the cooperation between Algeria and Slovenia on a high political level, and as well on practical level of the industry and our companies. We are already cooperating in the area of gas. We are importing gas from Algeria, but we hope that this cooperation will also come into the area of culture, of science, and other industries. We are very pleased with the development of our relations, and we hope that these relations will only improve.
Regarding international relations, Mr. Bughali hailed the Republic of Slovenia's recognition of the State of Palestine, describing this stance as courageous. Meanwhile, Mr. Miroslav Grigorik was also received by the Secretary General of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Lounas Magraman. During his second consecutive visit to the Senate, Mr. Grigorik spoke about the aim of this visit and highlighted once again the bilateral cooperation in various fields.
The Secretary General of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the National Community Abroad and African Affairs, Lounas Magraman, has received a delegation from Libya, a sister country led by Hamza Abdessalam al-Mukali, political advisor in his capacity as Special Envoy of the President of the Libyan Presidential Council, Yunus al-Manfi. The Special Envoy handed over to the Secretary General a written message addressed to the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, from his brother, the Chairman of the Libyan Presidential Council, Mohammed Yunus al-Manfi. Now, the Minister of State, Minister of Foreign Affairs and the National Community Abroad and African Affairs, Ahmed Attaf, has held talks in New York with the Secretary General of the Arab League, Ahmed Abul Ghait, on the sidelines of the high-level meeting scheduled under the Algerian presidency of the UN Security Council. The talks come in the framework of the preparation for the meeting to be chaired by the Minister of State on Thursday, today, at the level of the Security Council, devoted to cooperation between the Arab League and the United Nations. Mr. Attaf also met with his counterparts from Angola, Namibia, Uganda, Sierra Leone, and South Sudan as well. As you followed in our top stories, on Wednesday, the Paris Public Prosecutor's Office issued a strong reaction to French Interior Minister Bruno Retailleau's announcement that an Algerian influencer had been arrested. The Paris Public Prosecutor's Office deemed the minister's announcement on social networks to be premature and was keen to set the record straight, pointing out that only the judicial authority has the right to communicate on an ongoing judicial case. The French Interior Minister had announced the arrest on Wednesday morning of an Algerian influencer identified as Rafiq Mziane, which required a legal clarification from the Paris Public Prosecutor's Office. The Public Prosecutor's Office stated that at this stage nothing is being held against the person concerned, who has not been taken into custody. You're still listening to Radio Algeria International. A new report on the human impact of the ban on the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine Refugees, UNRWA, has revealed that the livelihoods of millions of people are at risk and education is likely to be replaced by fragmented initiatives. The details with Said Bougazi.
A senior researcher at the Oslo Peace Research Institute, PRIO, and co-author of the study, Jørgen Jensen Hagen, warned that in less than a week the collapse of UNRWA could cripple the humanitarian operation in Gaza and lead to a collapse of healthcare and education for thousands of people in the West Bank. The report highlights the serious challenges posed by the new Zionist laws. In Gaza, where almost 2 million people depend on aid from UNRWA, the suspension of services could worsen an already disastrous humanitarian situation, warns the report. In addition, the delivery of vital humanitarian aid will collapse without UNRWA, even with increased aid under the ceasefire agreement, because the distribution structure will collapse. The replacement of UNRWA's mechanisms would entail major costs and delays, with humanitarian experts estimating that it could take between 1 and 3 years. Before the latest Zionist aggression, UNRWA was providing primary education to nearly 300,000 pupils. The impact of the ban on the education sector in Gaza has been largely overlooked, even though no other UN entity is equipped to educate so many children. The study warns that without UNRWA, education is likely to be replaced by fragmented, lower-quality initiatives managed by multiple agencies. UNRWA also provided essential health care, including 4.4 million outpatient consultations per year, as well as specialist care, dental examinations, and X-rays. According to the report, the cessation of these services will leave millions of people without essential medical care, depriving refugees of routine checks, vital medicines, and emergency treatment, putting countless lives at risk. Faced with this situation, international organizations and donor countries are wondering how to respond. Time is running out, and without coordinated action on a global scale, the repercussions will be severe, affecting Gaza in particular, but could also worsen the situation in the West Bank, warned Jensen Haugen.
The A3+ group, including Algeria at the UN Security Council under the presidency of Algeria, has affirmed in a statement read by the representative of Guyana to the United Nations during a briefing on the situation in Colombia its support for the government and the Colombian people in implementing the 2016 peace agreement, noting the need for support at all levels to ensure full implementation of this agreement. The group expressed its deep concern at the continuing threats and attacks by armed groups in Colombia, which have led to an increase in the displacement of civilians across the country, underlining that these attacks continue to hamper peace efforts. For his part, at the meeting, the head of the UN verification mission in Colombia, Carlos Ruiz Massieu, said that it is critical to accelerate the implementation of the peace agreement.
Catatumbo is like many regions of Colombia that are still awaiting the dividends of the 2016 peace agreement in terms of a comprehensive presence of the state that would bring public services, legal economies, development opportunities, and security. It is in the vacuum of state presence that illegal armed groups are fighting for territorial and social control. Implementation of the peace agreement is central as ever to lasting solutions for preventing and resolving the causes of armed conflict. I would like to conclude by reiterating the centrality of the 2016 final peace agreement as the core instrument for consolidating peace across the country. Only by fully and deeply implementing the agreement, bringing a comprehensive presence of the state to the long marginalized areas, can the country expect to overcome the factors that continue to foster conflict.
That was the head of the UN verification mission in Colombia, Carlos Ruiz Massieu. Meanwhile, the A3+ group, including Algeria, has also expressed its deep concern at the deteriorating security situation in Haiti and stressed the need to find lasting solutions that will enable the Haitian people to restore peace in their country. The representative of Guyana to the United Nations during a briefing Wednesday evening at the Security Council on the situation in Haiti said human rights violations are particularly worrying. For her part, the UN Special Representative for Haiti, Ms. Maria Isabel Salvador, said that nearly half of the population is in need of humanitarian assistance.
The worsening security situation has significantly impacted United Nations operations. In response to the suspension of flights to Port-au-Prince and widespread violence, the UN decided to temporarily reduce its footprint in the capital, while continuing to provide life-saving assistance. The humanitarian crisis in Haiti has reached alarming levels. Over 6 million people, nearly half the population, require humanitarian assistance, with 3.9 million targeted for aid. The number of internally displaced persons has tripled to over 1 million, with more than half being children. Displacement sites are overcrowded and lack essential services such as clean water, sanitation, and education. Food insecurity affects 48% of the population.
That was the UN Special Representative for Haiti, Ms. Maria Isabel Salvador. Now, the world's political and business elite in Davos heard a hard-hitting speech Wednesday from UN Chief Antonio Guterres, who decried the lack of multilateral collaboration in an increasingly ungovernable world, threatened by two existential dangers: climate change and unregulated artificial intelligence. Speaking at the annual meeting of the World Economic Forum in Swiss Alps, Mr. Guterres said the following.
Today we face two new and profound threats that demand far more global attention and action because they threaten to upend life as we know it: the climate crisis and the ungoverned expansion of artificial intelligence. Our fossil fuel addiction is a Frankenstein monster, sparing nothing and no one. You are on the wrong side of history. You are on the wrong side of science. And you are on the wrong side of consumers who are looking for more sustainability, not less.
That was UN Chief Antonio Guterres. You're still listening to Radio Algeria International, coming to you from the capital, Algiers. Stay tuned.